In the bustling city of Lagos, where the streets never sleep and the air buzzes with dreams and ambitions, lived a man named Adewale. He was a diligent worker at one of the city's most prestigious companies, trying to climb the corporate ladder. Despite his hard work and dedication, he watched in frustration as his peers, some less worthy in his eyes, were promoted ahead of him. This simmering anger gnawed at him daily, fueling an unyielding desire for a way to guarantee his rise. One evening, after yet another promotion bypassed him, Adewale found himself in a local bar, nursing his sorrows with a drink of whiskey. He overheard a group of men discussing a powerful sorcerer who could grant people their deepest wishes. Intrigued, Adewale leaned in closer, listening intently to their talk. The men spoke of the sorcerer living near the edges of the city, close to an old abandoned graveyard. They claimed that he had the power to call spirits and bend feet. Desperation took root in Adewale's heart. He chose to seek out this mystery sorcerer, hoping to gain the power that would secure his long-awaited promotion. Early the next morning, he set off towards the outskirts of Lagos, guided only by the vague direction he had pieced together from the bar talk. After hours of wandering, Adewale found himself standing before the door of the airy, forgotten graveyard. The air grew cooler as he stepped inside, and a thick fog began to swell around the withered tombstone. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the odd rustling of leaves and the distant calling of crows. Adewale's heart pounded in his chest, but he pressed on, determined to find the magician. In the middle of the graveyard stood a dilapidated shack, barely visible through the dense fog. Gathering his confidence, Adewale approached the door and knocked. The door creaked open, showing a wizened old man with piercing eyes that seemed to see into Adewale's very soul. "I know why you have come," the sorcerer said in a voice that echoed with ancient knowledge. "You seek power to rise above your peers." Adewale nodded, unable to find his voice. The sorcerer waved him inside and closed the door behind him. The interior of the shack was filled with strange artifacts, books with indecipherable titles, and jars holding substances Adewale could not identify. The sorcerer signaled Adewale to sit. "The power you seek comes with a price," he warned. "Are you willing to pay?" Adewale paused for a moment before nodding again. "Yes, I am willing to pay any price." The sorcerer smiled a knowing smile. "Very well, you must perform a rite at midnight in the heart of this graveyard. There you will call upon the souls of the dead and make a pact with them. They will give you the power you desire, but you must be prepared for the consequences." Adewale agreed, though a shiver ran down his spine at the sorcerer's words. He spent the next few hours collecting items the sorcerer told him to collect. Black candles, a vial of his own blood, and a piece of parchment with his written wish. As midnight approached, he stood in the middle of the graveyard, surrounded by tombstones and the oppressive weight of silence. He lit the black candles and put them in a circle around him. Taking a deep breath, he pricked his fingers with a needle and let a few drops of blood fall onto the paper. Holding the parchment aloft, he repeated the incantation the sorcerer had given him. The air grew colder still, and the fog deepened until Adewale could barely see his own hands. A low whispering chorus began to rise from the ground, filling the air with an airy, haunting tone. Shadows flickered at the edge of his vision, and he felt the presence of the ghost drawing closer. Adewale's heart raced, but he continued the chant, his voice steady despite his fear. As he finished the final words, the whispers grew louder, and the shadows formed into the shapes of the dead. Spectral forms surrounded him, their eyes glowing with an outwardly light. One ghost, taller and more imposing than the other, stepped forward. "You have summoned us, mortal," he said in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "What is it that you seek?" Adewale swallowed hard, his throat dry. "I seek the power to be promoted in my office, to rise above my peers, and to achieve the success I deserve." The spirit studied him for a moment before nodding. "Very well, your wish shall be fulfilled. But remember, all power comes with a price. You must be prepared to face the results." Before Adewale could ask what the effect might be, the spirits began to fade, their whispers fading into the night. The fade cleared, and the graveyard was silent once more. Adewale stood alone, the black candles glowing in the breeze. The next morning, Adewale returned to the city, feeling a strange sense of expectation. When he got to the office, he was greeted with surprised looks from his colleagues. His boss called him into his office, and to Adewale's astonishment, announced that he had been promoted to a senior post. The promotion came with a substantial raise and greater responsibilities. Adewale's joy knew no limit. He celebrated his success, reveling in the increased respect and admiration of his peers. However, as days turned into weeks, he began to notice strange happenings. Shadows seemed to follow him wherever he went, and he often heard whispers in the dead of night. At first, he dismissed this as figments of his mind, but occurrences grew more frequent and unsettling. One evening, while working late in his office, Adewale heard a person call his name. He looked up to see the spectral figure of the spirit he had called standing before him. "You have your power," the spirit said, "but now it is time to pay the price." Adewale's blood ran cold. "What do you mean? What price?" The spirit's eyes glowed with an eerie light. "Your success has come at the cost of the lives of those around you. With each step you take up the ladder, someone else must fall. This is the balance of power." Adewale's mind raced as he recalled the recent misfortunes that had befallen his friends. One had fallen seriously ill, another had been in a car accident, and a third had abruptly quit after a personal tragedy. Realization dawned on him with a terrible thud. His race to success was built on the pain of others. Desperation and guilt gnawed at Adewale. He couldn't bear the thought of more people being hurt because of his ambition. He sought out the sorcerer once more, trying to find a way to reverse the pact. The sorcerer listened to Adewale's plea with a sullen face. "The spirits have given your wish, and they will not be easily appeased. To break the bond, you must return to the graveyard and offer something equal value to what you have gained." Adewale felt a spark of hope. "What must I offer?" The sorcerer's eyes bored into him. "You must offer your own life. Only then will the spirit release their hold on the lives of others." Adewale's heart sank. The thought of sacrificing his own life was scary, but he knew he couldn't continue to live with the blood of others on his head. He thanked the magician and returned to the graveyard, his mind made up. At midnight, he stood once more in the middle of the graveyard, the black candles flickering in the breeze. He pricked his finger and let his blood fall onto the paper. Writing a final plea of the spirit to release their hold, he repeated the incantation, his voice trembling but resolute. The fog deepened, and the whispers rose one more. The spectral forms appeared, their eyes glowing with an outwardly light. The tall ghost stepped forward. "You have returned, man. Do you offer yourself to break the path? Adewale nodded, tears running down his face. Yes, I offer my life in exchange for the lives of those who have suffered because of my ambition. The spirit watched him for a long moment before nodding. Your sacrifice is accepted. The balance is restored. As the spirit began to fade, Adewale felt a strange feeling of peace wash over him. The fog cleared, and the graveyard was silent once more. Adewale closed his eyes, ready to accept his fate. When he opened them again, he found himself standing at the entrance of the graveyard. The sun rising in the distance. He felt a sense of relief, knowing that he had made the right choice. He returned to the city, ready to face whatever came next with a clear mind. Adewale's life returned to normal, but he was a changed man. He no longer sought power and success at the expense of others. Instead, he dedicated himself to helping his friends and improving the lives of those around him. He worked hard, not for personal gain, but for the good of the company and his fellow workers. Years passed, and Adewale gained the respect and admiration of his peers. Though he never rose to the top echelons of the company, he found contentment in his work and the friendships he had built. He often thought of the graveyard as a spirit, as a warning of the price of unchecked ambition.